So I came across a video today. It almost had me on the floor laughing. It is titled "Mountain Man in Court for Illegal Fishing Owns Judge and Walks Out." He does exactly that. It is amazing how he presented himself. The case that was before him, obviously this was something that had been going on for a while, and he had been dealing with these issues with the courts, and the man knows what he's talking about. This is amazing. So let's go ahead and get to it.
No, ma'am. I stand as myself and speak for myself in myself. And I am not the trustee over the all caps name that you're operating on.
I am not the trustee or the all caps name that you are operating on. Awesome. Little bit of info on what he just said. When you have your name in all capital letters, it is called Capitis Dimaggio Maxima. It is a representation of you as a corporation for legal matters. It was created through admiralty law, which is the law that governs ships and the oceans for corporations that operate on the oceans. They created it for that, but they have used it in the legal system, in the justice system, the anti-justice system, for being able to convict people of crimes that aren't actually crimes, such as speeding tickets, stop sign, running a stop sign, parking tickets, anything that has not wronged another person is not a crime. There has to be a victim for there to be a crime. So, in other words, they can't ticket you for all these victimless crimes unless they create you as a corporation and make you adhere to the laws of a corporation through admiralty law with Capitis Dimaggio Maxima as your representation. So let's continue.
Well, you're here in court today because you were charged with some charges.
I'm here in court today because I am making a special visitation. This is not an appearance, only spirits appear. Living men, living persons make special visitation. That's why I'm here, to make sure that you guys don't tender my truthful, proper names.
Do you still live at 28 Flying Eagle in Manhattan?
That is a storage unit that I sleep in from time to time.
All right.
A great point. He says that is a storage unit that I sleep in from time to time. Again, not recognizing them. They're trying to associate him, the corporation that is on their paperwork. They have an address for that corporation. That address they use to associate him as that corporation. And once again, he denies the judge that association so that they cannot say that he is the corporation.
I live in myself in this body. I am the living man.
Mr. Calgate, you were here. You were seen by Mr. Cutts on 9/3/13, and you asked, at that time he appointed you a public defender. Did you apply for the public defender?
What use have I for a voice of ruin?
What use have I for a voice of ruin? I'm sorry, but if anybody that is low income, or even maybe even middle class or low middle class, you don't have a whole lot of money for really expensive lawyers and all that kind of stuff. Public defenders in the court system, the nickname for public defenders is public pretenders. They're not there for you. They're paid by the state. So where do their interests lie? Do they lie with the state, which is who gives them their money, or do they lie with you, the person who needs representation? In my opinion, they a lot of times are friends with the prosecutors, state prosecutors, etc., and that's where their loyalties lie, is with the state, not with the people. Also, again, he is denying them the association that he is the man known as the corporation who needs representation from the state for their court proceedings. He is not a part of their court proceedings. He does not adhere to their law. He adheres to the natural law.
They can only speak fictitious legalese to you. I speak natural living man's English to you. It's called common English. That's the only thing that I work in.
That's fine.
There will be no legalese used here.
Well, you were charged on the 31st of August of 2013 with obstructing a police officer in violation of 457302. You were also charged on the same date with resisting arrest in violation of 457301 of the Montana Code.
Those men were charged by me right back by staging an overthrow of the Constitution of 1789, an overthrow of the Bill of Rights, an overthrow of my rights to forage for food as a natural living person who was in hunger. I was searching for something to put in my stomach, as I am recognized to be allowed to do by universal law. Has nothing to do with your corporate fiction.
He is on fire. I love this guy. He, again, stating that he is a natural man who is allowed to forage for food so that he can sustain himself naturally, and they are still trying to get him to adhere to the laws that they have created that are not constitutional, which the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, supersedes all man-made laws. Anything that they pass through Congress or all that crap, it does not adhere to the Constitution, is not valid.
They violated everything, and furthermore, for your knowledge, they violated Judge Holly Brown's Title 26 United States Code ruling, which I went before her and prevailed on 21st March 2011. DPO 9-58A is the case number wherein she evidenced that I am not a taxpayer because I am not a federal citizen. Federal law trumps state law at every turn. I have 9 judge rulings to that end, and that trumps state law. I am not registered crap. I am the living man, and I have the right to forage for food when I'm hungry.
Yes! This guy. I don't know, I just love how adamant, how informed, how he goes about this whole thing. He knows exactly what he needs to quote. He has previous incidences with this kind of thing, and he knows exactly what he needs to say. Anybody out there, if you know what you're talking about when it comes to natural law, the law of the land, not the ocean, then I think it is a better idea to represent yourself as long as you are informed and know what you're talking about. I would not recommend to anyone going into a courtroom not knowing how to present your case. Courtrooms are there to convict you. Police are there to arrest you, fine you, and get you into the system. The court is there to convict you and hold you accountable to those decisions. And he is not letting that happen.
All right. But you're here on different charges.
That
This
is
is not
what
Holly Brown's
stands.
courtroom.
Ma'am, you can argue this all day long. You're operating on a corporate fiction.
I'm telling you, you're here on some charges which were filed in the reports.
I do not
Number
understand
one.
those charges.
Number one, you keep interrupting me, and I'm gonna charge you with contempt, and you'll go to
Oh,
jail.
Because I'm better than you. Because I'm a judge and I wear a fancy little black cloak. I love how, so many people in positions of power in this country, and frankly, all over the world, because they are in these positions, they've been appointed to these positions, they believe that they are above you, that they are better than you. You are the criminal that is there trying to represent yourself and tell the court that you didn't do whatever, however you want to say it. Civil servants take an oath to the Constitution to uphold and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That oath is a contract. That is a legal binding contract. And if they do not follow what the Constitution says, if they are not in compliance with that, then they are legally held liable. They definitely think that they can control you. And I love the wag of the finger from this lady. She just, like he's a 4-year-old, You better sit down. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Absolutely ridiculous.
Contempt of court is spelled C-O-double-N. I know about conning. That's navigation.
Sir,
Contempt is the storm.
I said, be
Don't
quiet
touch me.
until I get
Don't
through
touch me,
reading this
you
to
ain't a
you.
god. Don't
Officer?
you touch me. I am the living man protected by universal law.
You keep
Stand
talking,
down.
and you're going to be charged with contempt, and you're gonna go to jail.
You have already contempted this place.
No,
You have already contempted this place. Yeah.
I told you
But
I
fraud,
would if
you're
you
trying
didn't
to
quit
get done
talking.
here. These are the living witnesses to what you're trying to do.
Very
You
good.
are trying to create a fictitious fraudulent action. You are trying to bilk the Federal Reserve by
Sir?
securitizing in all caps commercialized name
Sir?
and notifying
remove
them
him from the
that
courtroom?
they are standing in debt now.
Awesome. What he just said about the Federal Reserve and all of that. The Federal Reserve, first of all, if you don't know, which a lot of people do, but if you don't know, the Federal Reserve is a private organization. They are not a public organization. They are not accountable to any taxpayer or any politician or anybody in the United States government. They do what they want. They print our money. Like I said, they are a private bank. You can look them up under Federal Reserve. You will find they are right next to FedEx in the commercial pages. They print our money, which is fiat money. It's not backed by anything. It has no actual value except for the paper that it's printed on, and every single piece of paper that it's printed on makes the dollar actually less valuable. And so many people say, oh, the income tax, it pays for the roads, or it pays for this, or it pays for that. No, it does not. The income tax is there to pay down the national debt. They set up the Federal Reserve. Oddly enough, at the same time, they set up the IRS. The IRS is there to collect the taxes to pay the Federal Reserve for fake money that they print and enslave us. And they use, again, the Capitis, Dimaggio, Maxima to hold us accountable to these laws that say you have to pay these taxes and all of that, and control us through currency. It's attributed to one of the Rothschilds, the quote, "Permit me to issue and control the money of a nation, and I care not who makes its laws." The Rothschild family was one of the families, along with the Rockefellers and other, the J.P. Morgans and all these people, that set up the Federal Reserve on Jekyll Island, I believe on Christmas Eve, when House was not in session. Nobody could really do anything about it. Nobody even knew that it was going on. They signed it into law, and bada bing, bada boom, Federal Reserve, IRS, let's tax the nation. It is not for the well-being of others, of the good of the people. It is absolutely the benefit of the uber elite. And I'm not talking about the 1%. I'm talking about the 0.001% or whatever it is, of the super elite that control the currencies of the world. That's why they set up the European Union and the Euro. That's why they've set up all these different things. And they want to control the currency. If they control the currency, they control everything. And that is why they established the Federal Reserve.
If you touch me, you will violate natural law. Do not come near me.
Awesome. He's just... Do not touch me. If you touch me, you will violate natural law. That is absolutely true. It does not matter who they are. A use of force is still a use of force. If he is a natural man and there is no victim in this instance, they have absolutely no right to use force against him. And that is what she was trying to do, was to get the bailiff to hold him in contempt of court and potentially arrest him or remove him from the courtroom. And he made it very clear that that is not okay, and that if he does this, he is violating the Constitution and his natural God-given rights.
I am
Then
protected
shush,
by the land.
shush.
Do not tell me to shut up. I am the living natural man, and my voice will be heard.
He's definitely a little heated, but like I said, I think he has justification to be heated. They're trying to bring charges on him that could fine him, affect him economically. Not only that, but they are trying to put up the possibility of potential jail time. So not only would he be affected economically, but he could also be affected with his freedom. And as a natural man, that should not be the case unless he has hurt or wronged somebody. And that has not happened.
That is the Jolly Roger. That thing you call the American flag with the gold fringe around it is the Jolly Roger, and you are acting as one of his privateers.
Okay, you're here on charge of arrest.
I'm here by special visitation.
Right. And
I've
you're
never
here
let
on
you get away with
obstructing
this.
a
You bet
police
I'm here.
officer.
I love how he states that he's here by special visitation. The court wants you to believe that you are appearing today to defend yourself, that it is mandatory that you be there because they deem it so, and he is informing them that he is there by special visitation on his own decision to be there to represent himself. But the fact of the matter is that he did not have to be there. He chose to be there.
To each charge could be up to a $500 fine, up to 6 months in jail.
I do not understand any charges. I only understand universal law and the right to live.
Well, you
To
pled
live
not
at peace
guilty.
and to live as I need to.
You pled not guilty in this
I
court.
never plead. Animals plead. Sound like, bah, oink oink.
I have a paper with your signature on it, sir.
It says prime evidence standing right through it. You bring forward all natural forms of evidence that I'm not prime evidence.
Again, they are trying to get him to admit that he and the corporation are one and the same, and he is not falling into their trap.
I am the living soil. The dirt, the water, and the air has its own voice, does it not? It all supports
Sir?
forms of life, does it not? I am a part of that life. I am not your corporate fiction.
Sir,
Do not danger me.
you're here today on an omnibus hearing. You've already pled not
I am
guilty.
here by special visitation to see to it that you do not tainter my natural living man's name.
Are you prepared
That's
to
why
tell
I'm
the
here.
court if you wish to go to trial on this matter?
This is a trial. Tell
No,
me it's not.
this isn't a trial.
Here's my
This is
jury
an
of my
omnibus
peers.
hearing, sir.
You cannot produce a jury of my peers because all juries are selected from a pool of registered voters, and the instant a person registers to vote, their natural ability as a peer to comprehend natural law has been dissolved and turned into fiction. There cannot be raised a jury of my peers.
We all have the right to a speedy trial. The way that they have designed the court systems in modern times is, you go to court, you put in your plea, and then they probably are going to issue you another court date. In that next court date, they're going to do the pre-trial if you decide to take it to trial, which most people don't even get a trial, or they don't choose not to do a trial. But they do the pre-trial, and then they have to do jury selection and all this stuff. And a lot of times they will purposely, they make you wait longer because you are more likely to come to a plea agreement. They get you sitting in jail for whatever crime, and obviously I don't think he was sitting in jail. You sit in jail, and you have all this time in jail, and they stretch it out so that they can give you a plea agreement and hope that you will take it. If you feel the pressure that if they tell you, well, you're going to go to jail for 20 years, but if you agree to this plea agreement, then we'll give you a year and a half, and you'll get out with a quarter or half of your time served. That sounds, 3 to 6 months sounds a lot better than a year and a half or 2 years or whatever, or 20 years or whatever the situation might be. They will get you to agree to this plea agreement. And that is why they set up, in the first place, they set up speedy trials so that you could be accused of the crime, you could defend yourself, either by yourself or with a lawyer, and be done with it to move on with your life. Anymore, that is not the case. Many people spend months, maybe even years in jail, and they go through their court and they are found not guilty. And a lot of times people sue and they get compensated for these things, but there's a lot of things that that compensation does not cover. Like, let's say, for instance, you have a family. There's absolutely no way, there's no amount of money that can compensate you for lost time with your children, with your family, with your wife, with your grandparents, with whoever. They cannot compensate you for, they cannot give you that time back. It is impossible. So we need to rein in the court system in order to stop that from happening. That is another great point. The fact that if he is claiming the natural law and the natural man, somebody that is registered to vote is not recognizing the natural law and the natural man, and how can they be a jury of his peers if they do not recognize the law which he stands behind? There's absolutely no way that they would find him not guilty under those circumstances.
It cannot be done.
Excuse me for just a moment.
No way. Get back here and finish this. Hey, get back here and finish this.
How many times have you heard of a judge walking out of the courtroom? Excuse me, I'm going to leave.
The judge has left the courtroom. There you go.
Yeah.
There is nobody in this courtroom.
Yeah.
The judge has
Yeah.
walked out.
The judge has walked out.
I
Everybody up
said
and
no
out.
excuse.
Everybody up and out.
I'm not letting you
Up and
go.
out. Up and out. Up and out. Follow the man. Get your hand.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Just, I don't know that I would have done anything different. Like, that is awesome, you know. The judge walked out. She left. She gave up. This is done. I'm not going to sit here and take this and wait and, you know, hope that she comes back. No way. I'm out. See you later.
I've seen it before.
She abandoned the court.
Don't hang around. Let's go. Get out of here. Let's go. Don't dally. Let's go.
Abandon the court.
Get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. I don't know. Come on. Where's the driver? Leave him be. Where we going to? Headwater or Bear?
Yeah.
Headwater. Headwater. Stay tight on me. We're going to try something and keep your eyes.
Astonishing. I love every second of this video. This man is obviously very intelligent. So this was in November of 2013. At this point in 2017, it has almost 9 million views. 56,904 thumbs up. And only, not quite, 5,000 thumbs down. Why would you thumbs down that? Are you just like some super status, like, oh my god, this guy got away with fishing? God forbid. Fine him, throw him in jail, hang him by the neck. He was fishing to feed himself. That's absurd. Looking at the comments here, one of the comments is, if a fishing boat were loading tons of fish, I would get it. But one man throwing out a hook to snag some dinner, come on. Absolutely. For one, he's not fishing these fish out of existence. He's only one man. That would be a lot of fish. You'd be kind of a fish glutton, if you will. Also, if there was a fishing boat out there catching a ton of fish, that's probably somebody trying to make money, possibly with other people involved, which would be a corporation. And they would be adhered to those laws so that they don't, completely kill off whatever fish or whatever, and they are a corporation. That is what it was designed for, the Admiralty law. But he is just one man trying to get some dinner. Here's another great one. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, however, and he'll be criminally charged and go to court. Some more comments here. This one doesn't even make any sense. At the end of the video, he walks out of the courtroom, gets in the back seat of an SUV, and they leave. This comment, the natural living man gets into an SUV? Question mark? Yeah. Yeah, he got into the back seat. First of all, he wasn't even driving. He got a ride. God forbid, as a natural living man, that you should get a ride from somebody. Not to mention, as a natural living man, you do have the right to transportation. I have the right to travel where I want to please without interruption. That means that I can go where I want and do what I want as long as I'm not harming anyone else. The legal definitions in here are most important. Again, the definitions here are absolutely important. When you are a driver using a motor vehicle on public roads for commercial purposes, you need license and registration and all of these things. You have to pay these things because you are excessively using the road to make money. When you are a traveler using an automobile to get from point A to point B, that you do not need a license or a registration or any of these things that you need to adhere to Admiralty law with. It's totally legit. If he were to have hopped into the driver's seat of that with no driver's license, no registration, no insurance, no anything, it would have been completely illegal, and there are multiple court cases to back this up. Another one like that, they quote him, "I am the soil," he says. Then he steps into an SUV. Why is it so wrong to get a ride? Would it have been different if we lived 100 years ago and he would have gotten into a buggy? Would they have been like, oh, and the natural man gets into a horse and buggy? Like, that is the modern day horse and buggy. I don't understand what they're trying to say. You're not allowed to have transportation of any kind. The natural man rode horseback. Like, it's hilarious. But in conclusion, I saw this video. Like I said, I was laughing hysterically when I first saw it. And it is absolutely libertarian and everything that needs to happen. We need to take back self-ownership. We need to take back our rights, our true God-given natural rights that the courts have no jurisdiction over, no say-so over. And that is exactly what this man is doing. He hit the nail directly on the head, and did it flawlessly in a court of law, which is not always the easiest thing to do. They try to trick you into things by using wordplay. Police and the courts do this. I would advise people that if you're going to try something similar to this, make sure that you are very well educated and know exactly what you're talking about. You might even want to inquire with a constitutional lawyer about how to go about this if you don't understand it fully. But you can definitely educate yourself. You don't need to go to school for this. You don't have to go to law school. There are things that you do have to know in order to present yourself the correct way and not fall victim to the webs that they weave. So these are my thoughts and opinions on this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll be seeing a lot more of this kind of stuff in the near future, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.